You're about to listen to the Weekly Business Hour podcast. I am Rick Schisler, Silver Fox Advisor, your host for the show. The show is broadcast live each Monday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on irlonestar.com. You can reach me on my Facebook page, The Weekly Business Hour, or by email at rick@irlonestar.com. The Weekly Business Hour is sponsored by Patricia Cooper Insurance Agency, Taylorized PR, Schooley Mitchell with Jerry Pollio, and the Silver Fox Advisors. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy the program.
Good morning, and welcome to the Lone Star Weekly Business Hour. Your host, Rick Schisler, is a Silver Fox advisor who personally has over 40 years of experience as a serial entrepreneur. So sit back, pull out your pad and pencil, and get ready to take notes as we join Rick Schisler in his Lone Star Weekly Business Hour.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of the Weekly Business Hour. This is Rick Schisler, your Silver Fox advisor and the host of the Weekly Business Hour. Today we're bringing you a special edition of the Weekly Business Hour featuring a business forum examining the question, what will the business environment of 2016 look like for my business? We have a couple of local business experts joining us to talk about this important issue, and they will be joining us momentarily. But first, I want to thank the Silver Fox Advisors for being our show sponsor. If you or your business need a mentor and advisor to help move your business forward, then learn more about the Silver Fox Advisors at silverfox.org, or you can contact me direct at rick@irlonestar.com. If you're ready to do business this week, then let's get started with today's show. First, let me wish all the listeners a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. It's only 11 days until the big holiday, and I hope you and your business are ready. I encourage you to recheck your inventory levels, delivery schedules, and time off requests. Make sure your business is prepared to do business through the holidays. I want to remind you during the course of the show, if you have a question or a comment about our conversation today, feel free to contact us at the station. The number to call in is 936-647-3776, and the phone lines are open for your calls. Before we move into the business in the county and on beyond that, let's first check in with Dick here at Lone Star to see what's on tap for Lone Star this coming week.
We have a couple things going on. If you missed Sunday's performance of the Vintage Radio Hour with the Crichton Players, It's a Wonderful Life went on, and we recorded it, and it will be replayed this Sunday at 7 p.m. And also, we want to say a special shout-out to Cadence Hope, which is a big nonprofit we support here at the Lone Star Internet Radio. It's this Wednesday at the Crescent Moon Wine Bar over there on Rayford Sawdust in the Woodlands. They're having a Cadence Hope Country Christmas, featuring country artists like Michael Player, Katie Jo Hodges, and Maddie Dean. Tickets are $20 online right now at eventbrite.com. That's eventbrite.com for the Cadence Hope Country Christmas. I want to let everyone know about that. If they're wanting a good time and to support a good cause and listening to great Texas country music, check out Cadence Hope Country Christmas. That's eventbrite.com to look up for tickets, or just visit cadencehope.org.
Well, a great way to jump into the Christmas season if you're not already there. And that's to get out and kick up your heels a little bit and listen to some great music. And as Dick said, support a great cause, Cadence Hope. So I hope you'll consider doing that during the week and have a short evening out on Wednesday. And first of all, before we get into our business forum and I introduce our guest here in the studio, I'm going to offer a little bit of important news. I think there were a couple items out here that we need to be considering. I mean, obviously, our business and calendar year are drawing to a close. And there's a couple things coming up that I think might impact any business that has visitors. That's any business, including a retail business, but also if you have a manufacturing facility, distribution facility, wherever you have visitors. Be aware that as of January 1st, we have an open carry law in effect here in Texas. In fact, House Bill 910 went into law in June, but becomes effective January 1st across the state. Still a lot of questions. If you pay attention to the newspaper, you hear it on the news. But you need to make a decision about your business. Are you going to allow people to openly carry weapons into your business? And if not, apparently under the law you're allowed to prohibit that, but you have to post the right signage. But that's important for you, I think, for any business to make that decision. It's a decision for you and your business. So consider it between now and the end of the year. And whatever your decision is, be sure your employees are aware of it. And if you decide not to allow the open carry of weapons in your business, be sure you get the right information to post to let people know that they're not allowed. The other thing, and I think this is real important as we move into the new year, and we're going to touch on this quite a bit, I suspect, in our open forum about the economy and the impact on our businesses here in the greater Houston area. And that's the fact, if you haven't noticed lately, the price of gasoline, automobile gasoline, has fallen below $2 a gallon. And that is having a tremendous impact already here on all of us in the greater Houston area. Maybe not on your particular business yet, hadn't trickled down, if you will. I heard on the way into the station this morning that Shell Oil Company, which is based here in Houston, has announced a layoff of 3,000 employees. So not necessarily just in the Houston area, but throughout their system. But the point is that, yes, boy, don't I love the low gasoline prices, because I put a lot of miles on my truck every week driving throughout the area and visiting with people. But the price of oil, a barrel of oil, is so important to so many employers around the greater Houston area, and it's got to have an effect when it gets down to that $35 a barrel price range, which it's there. I haven't checked the what it is today, but it has dropped. Many experts expect it to even drop further. So as we put our business plans together and we move into our business forum, keep that in mind. What does the price of a barrel of oil or the price of retail gasoline mean to your business? Obviously, if you have deliveries and the cost of your gasoline, and even if you use diesel fuel, that price is down quite a bit. It's not quite as much as gasoline, but it impacts your cost. But be aware of that. And we're going to take a short break here before we introduce our guest and have our business forum, which will go on throughout the rest of the program. Before we do that, I want to let you know, don't forget to like us on Facebook. We have a special Facebook page at the Weekly Business Hour, and I would appreciate it if you're listening to the show or listen to our podcast that you like that page so you can stay up with everything that's happening here on the Weekly Business Hour. So stay with us. We'll be right back with our business forum, and we'll be talking with our very important expert guests. So stay right with us.
Running a business is hard. Pressure to maximize profits and minimize loss continue to grow. Schooley Mitchell of Houston can help. Their independent consultants will ensure you are receiving the best communications and credit card processing services at the best prices. Most importantly, their services are completely risk-free. If they don't find savings for you, there is no fee. Contact Schooley Mitchell of Houston today to find out. Call 832-314-1815 or visit their website at schooleymitchell.com/JM Pollio.
Are you paying too much for your personal or business insurance? Patricia Cooper Insurance on FM 1488 and Tamina Road is an independent agency that can shop multiple carriers to find the best rates and coverages to fit your specific needs. Call us today at 281-356-9955 and let us go to work for you. Patricia Cooper Insurance, where our customers are treated like family.
Are you planning on growing, expanding, or possibly selling your business? All of these business opportunities require developing strategies and setting goals in order to achieve success. Providing specialized consulting in these and other key business decisions is what Silver Fox Advisors have been doing since 1986. Let us help you today. Call us at 713-343-3718. It might be the most profitable call that you ever make.
Did you know there are more than 790 abused and neglected children currently in foster care in Montgomery County? Will you help make a difference? I'm Allie Stevens with Casa Child Advocates of Montgomery County. We train and support volunteers to be the voice of children in the foster care system. Kids are removed from their home because of abuse and neglect, and we need volunteers just like you to advocate for these children. To learn more about becoming an advocate, please visit CasaSpeaksForKids.com. That's CasaSpeaksForKids.com.
Tailorized PR works exclusively to get your business noticed. Public relations is how others perceive you and your company. By tailorizing the marketing strategy exclusively to your business, your story is told. Tailorized PR services include networking, social media, blogs, press releases, public appearances, and event planning. To learn about Tailorized PR, call Margie Taylor at 936-828-6881 or visit the website at tailorizedpr.com. My business is tailored to yours.
This is Rick Schisler, your Silver Fox advisor, and you're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. If my voice sounds a little extra excited today, that's because we're having today, and we're going to present to you our first business forum that we've done. We're nearly 3 years into this program, and the idea was approached to me about doing a business forum and particularly looking forward to the coming year, to 2016, and what it would mean to our businesses, the kind of things that are happening in the marketplace, and particularly in our economy. So without any further ado, I want to introduce the two expert guests that I've asked to join us today. I'm so pleased they're with us. Our panel of experts today will be Dick Hendee and Jerry Pollio. Dick is the president of Horizon Associates, Inc., a small and mid-sized business consulting firm. He has over 40 years of experience in the financial service industry, has successfully owned and operated 2 business ventures, and launched 5 different brands on a national basis. Dick is also a member of the weekly Business Hour Roundtable of Business Experts. Welcome, Dick.
Good morning, Rick. How are you?
Doing very well. And our other friend here in the studio is Jerry Pollio. Jerry's an entrepreneur who successfully started several businesses around the world in different countries. He has also served as a consultant both in the marketing and franchise field. Jerry currently represents Schooley Mitchell, a Canadian firm which focuses on reducing business infrastructure cost. Jerry's also a faithful advertiser of the Weekly Business Hour. Welcome, Jerry.
Good morning, Rick.
Well, gentlemen, we've got an interesting world, an interesting picture, in my opinion, ahead of us in 2016. The economy here in the greater Houston area is shifting, I guess is a good word, every day. Dick, why don't you lead us off and give us a brief idea of what you think the economy will look like in 2016?
Sure. I see Texas and Houston economy growing, but certainly not at the pace that it did in 2013 and 14. And it probably will, both the Texas economy and Houston economy, mirror the national economy. And that's not what we've all been used to, but certainly it has been growing. Another thing I think in 2016 is a national election year, and that always creates uncertainty in the market. And those markets don't like uncertainty, so I don't see anything spectacular happening in 2016. From a local perspective, most local economists are stating that the west side of Houston will have some weaknesses, but the east side, with all the chemical plant and refinery expansion in East Houston, on the Gulf Coast, and in western Louisiana, that the east side of Houston will probably be a pretty good place to be in 2016 and 17, and I kind of agree with what their predictions are.
Well, you know, it's interesting, and we're going to check in with Jerry on this, but we've got to take a short break here. But, you know, there was some material this past week published about the housing sales and whatnot in Houston, and we'll pick up with that, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back. If you'll stay with us, we're going to take a short break, and don't forget, phone lines are open, 936-647-3776.
SPCA PetSnap of Montgomery County is a 501c3 all-volunteer-based rescue and adoption organization with a no-kill policy for healthy and adoptable animals. Our goals are fourfold: to rescue and rehabilitate homeless animals, to provide a safe haven for the animals until a suitable adoption or foster care home is found or until they are reunited with their owner, to educate the public about the great need to reduce pet population, which includes the importance of having their pets spayed and neutered, and to further the cause for humane and responsible pet ownership, and to provide a low-cost spay-neuter clinic for people who are unable to afford to spay or neuter their pets otherwise. SPCA Pet Snap of Montgomery County encourages you to think adoption first. You can contact us at www.spcaofmc.com.
You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and this is Rick Schisler, your Silver Fox advisor. In our studio today, in our business forum, we have Dick Hendee and Jerry Pollio. And if you were listening in the last segment, we kind of stopped in the middle of an important question about the local economy, and that was the information on the housing front. You know, our residential housing market has just been hot for several years. And the report out last week for the previous month of November was that things had slowed down quite a bit. But, you know, Dick, it's interesting. It seemed to fit right in with your scenario. Sales have really dropped off more on the west side than they have on the east side. So it seems like the story of the east and the west is already coming true.
Yep, and we see I live on the west side of town. I live in Katy myself, and we're for sale sign might be in somebody's yard for a day at the most. Now they're in there for probably 30 to 60 days. So, and it holds true with all the oil prices. That was kind of the energy corridor out there on the west side of town, and with Exxon relocating up in the Houston area or in the Woodlands area too, going to experience some slowdown. But you know, when oil prices are low, the chemical companies love that, and that's why the east side of town is booming.
Well, you know, one thing interesting that concerns me is the office market, too. Some numbers I've seen in the commercial market on the west side of town. Of course, like always, it seems in my lifetime, because I started in real estate development, is we overbuild, whether it's apartments or offices, and now there's offices still under construction on the west side of town, yet occupancies are falling.
Exactly.
Jerry, in your opinion, I mean, that's an interesting market, but if you owned a business, a small business on the west side of Houston, what's your opinion? What are you looking at?
Well, I think, Rick, that you always look at, you know, in slowdowns and when things are ramping up, there's always opportunity. And I think most small businesses fit into some sort of niche category where they specialize in areas where the larger businesses cannot. So I think there's always opportunity. I think you just have to be really plugged into your community. And I think what you guys do here with the radio station in terms of like really driving the community effort, I think there's a lot of opportunity. So, I think that, you know, in slowdowns, there's opportunity.
And then you can always go over to the east side, and obviously a lot of opportunity based on the numbers I've seen over there. You know, Dick, if you had a business and you live on the west side in Katy, what would be your outlook if you were in a small business?
Well, I think one thing that somebody taught me early on in my career, and that was on the marketing side. And when things slow down, businesses have a tendency of looking at their expense lines, and one of the first things they cut out is marketing. And so if you do that, then you're going to be out of the market. And if your competition is cutting out on their marketing, and think about that, if you don't cut out on your marketing, now you've got kind of a window open for you to be in front of potential customers when your competition's not. So one thing I would not recommend to people is if they're experiencing some expense reviews, I would not have them cut out anything in the marketing area, because that will be an opportunity for you to shine when others maybe are not.
Well, and I think that's old sage advice that I think I agree with you. So many small business people lose sight of that. And Jerry, you kind of alluded to that in the fact that you've got to keep that marketing effort working. One of the things we talked about is adjusting marketing plans. I mean, marketing plans are, by necessity, and I hope you all would agree, have to be fluid from year to year, period to period. I mean, you got to have some kind of plan. I'm a big believer, as listeners to this show know, whether it's a one-page plan or a multi-page plan. But 2016, Jerry, where do you see, if you were in the market east and west, or east or west, what kind of changes would you make in your marketing plan versus, say, the last year or two?
Well, to run with Dick's point, I think is a great point. Is, you know, you're always testing and you're always looking at avenues and opportunities, right? And I think picking up on that point where you know, if others aren't marketing and you are, there's great opportunity. When we look at opportunities from a marketing perspective. One of the things you want to look at, of course, is networking. That's just a great, smart, sage way to build your business. And then number two, what I think is very, very important is building a referral network. Aside from telling people you're the greatest and the latest, going out and getting folks to be an advocate for your brand. And I think that's a smart way to build your business today, because there's so many people out there telling us how great they are without any substantial, anything to back that up. So I think, building a referral network and building a strong networking community around your brand is probably a smart way to go.
Dick, what are your thoughts? Is there anything different or new that we should be doing as we move into kind of a headwind in growth?
Well, I think there's some things maybe you should take a look at, and if you're in a business that has a lot of inventory, I wouldn't necessarily expand that inventory, even though you may have an opportunity to buy some inventory that is at a reduced cost because the supplier is trying to get rid of it. But it's better sitting on their shelf than your shelf. And then the other thing I would take a look at is if there are opportunities where businesses are exiting, you may be able to pick up a newer or a larger facility at a pretty good rate because somebody's moved out and the owner of the building wants to keep that thing full, but he may give you a lesser rate on a lease deal, or if he's trying to sell it, may give you a pretty good opportunity there. So those are a couple of things that I would take a look at, either in an expanding or a decreasing market. I think that's just good advice.
Well, you touch on indirectly one thing that's important, I think, to all business people, because particularly small businesses, most of us are in a growth mode one way or another. And so the market starts to turn a little bit. It's not as active. It's not as good. And as both you and Jerry had mentioned, there are opportunities there. But I guess the way I approach growth when the headwinds are starting to build like they are now and looking into 2016 where there'll be a general slowdown is that I just am a little more cautious, but I don't stop growing. I don't change my plan to a no-growth plan. It's I've got to have constantly taking steps further, whether it's to expand a little bit or buy a newer facility, just be a little more cautious. Jerry,
Right.
One of the things you touched on, kind of going back to what you said about marketing, networking, one of the things I've noticed in the Houston area personally over the last 10 or 15 years is the networking opportunities, and I'm talking more of the structured ones, whether it be a group like a BNI or just a bunch of individuals that get together once a week to network and help. It's grown in numbers, but it's also grown in quality. You still have to look hard to find the right groups through chambers, whatever, BNIs, to be a part of. But have you noticed that? I mean, networking is getting better and more. It has a better payback if, again, you find the right group.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's a long-term strategy. So the idea is being credible and being visible, which will eventually lead to being profitable, right? So you have to be there and show up, and people have to know who you are. And I think that goes back to my original point of building a referral network and a referral mindset and strategy. Once people know who you are and what you do and how you can deliver and what you can deliver, getting a referral from a colleague is a very, very important strategy. And that's how I have grown my practices over the years, and I've just seen it grow. I've seen it work time and time again, Rick. So.
Well, and it's one thing. A lot of business owners I meet, particularly if they're not in, say, retail or that area, or professional practices, we're always out networking. But I think any business owner, whether you're in a distributor or manufacturer, you need to be doing some network. It needs to be on your calendar. It needs to be important. You get up from behind the desk, because it's not just picking up a new business, but you may hear things about your competitor. You may hear a comment about your business that you need to hear. And if you stay in the office or on the shop floor, you're never going to hear it. Dick, you have any comments on that?
Yeah, and I agree with all those comments. And I have sometimes people that are just getting into consultant business. They say, "What would you do?" And I always tell them, go out and join some organizations and be visible. You can't just go to one meeting and expect, that your phone's going to ring off the hook. You got to get involved, and you got to tell your story so that they can communicate it to people that they want to refer to you. And I read a marketing study recently that said that people that look at your web pages or read your brochures only believe about 17 to 20% of what you say about yourself, but they believe almost 80% of what others tell about you. So I think it's important to be in those networking groups and make sure that they know who you are and what you do so that they can communicate that to others, because that's what others believe.
Well, I think that's interesting. Jerry, you got a final comment in that area?
The final comment is Jeff Bezos says something that's pretty, I think, correct in this sense. It says your brand is about what others say when you're not in the room. And then to that point, again, you're out, you're networking. It's not what you think. It's not what they see. It's actually what you're able to deliver. And I think that happens over time as you build credibility.
Well, and as both of you, I guess, said, the conversation continues when you're not around. And you need to be in that conversation. You need to be in a positive way. Let's kind of start, and I'm sure we're going to run out of time in this segment, but a very important thing as you move into a slowing economy, which I think we have agreement that we're going to be facing some kind of slowdown. I don't think it's going to be a recession or a total drop-off. Dick, what's your feeling about that?
Yeah, and I believe that, and I think there's some things that you can do as we start getting into that slowdown. One of the some of the things that I wrote down here in preparation for our discussion today was don't let your accounts receivable stretch out. Stay on top of them, and probably there's some opportunities in the labor pool. There may be some companies that are cutting talent, and you might be able to pick up some really good people at some pretty good lower salary levels. And another thing is make sure you take care of your top performers so that they aren't looking to leave you. They leave you, and they very well could take some clients with them. And it also might be a good opportunity to weed out some of the people that are not your top performers and bring in somebody that's got a better quality of referrals and better quality of clients. And then last important thing is preserve your cash. If you see a piece of equipment, you've got the cash in your checking account to pay for it. Don't pay for it. Finance it and keep that cash, because you're going to need it later on if things don't pick up fairly quickly. So those are my 5 points that I would do as you face kind of a downturn in the economy.
Jerry, got any final comments? We got about 30 seconds.
No, I think they're all very, very valid comments, and I think all businesses are looking to maximize profit and reduce their costs, and I think you have to be on top of that. You have to be on top of that 100%.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave it there for this segment. I hope you'll stay with us when we come back. We're going to talk about some of the special challenges that you need to consider and extend that and take a good look at what the banks are going to be doing for you or not for you. Stay with us.
Are you planning on growing, expanding, or possibly selling your business? All of these business opportunities require developing strategies and setting goals in order to achieve success. Providing specialized consulting in these and other key business decisions is what Silver Fox Advisors have been doing since 1986. Let us help you today. Call us at 713-343-3718. It might be the most profitable call that you ever make.
Tailorized PR works exclusively to get your business noticed. Public relations is how others perceive you and your company. By tailorizing the marketing strategy exclusively to your business, your story is told. Tailorized PR services include networking, social media, blogs, press releases, public appearances, and event planning. To learn about Tailorized PR, call Margie Taylor at 936-828-6881 or visit the website at tailorizedpr.com. My business is tailored to yours.
Hi, this is BJ Orner from Montgomery County Performing Arts Society. I'm here to remind you to get your tickets now for all the upcoming events that McPass has to offer. All shows will be held at the beautiful Crichton Theater in downtown Conroe. Call 936-441-7469 for your tickets today, or go to our website, www.mcpass.org, for more information. Hope to see you at the show.
Running a business is hard. The pressure to maximize profits and minimize loss continue to grow. Schooley Mitchell of Houston can help. Their independent consultants will ensure you are receiving the best communications and credit card processing services at the best prices. Most importantly, their services are completely risk-free. If they don't find savings for you, there is no fee. Contact Schooley Mitchell of Houston today to find out. Call 832-314-1815 or visit their website at schooleymitchell.com/JM Pollio.
Are you paying too much for your personal or business insurance? Patricia Cooper Insurance on FM 1488 and Tamina Road is an independent agency that can shop multiple carriers to find the best rates and coverages to fit your specific needs. Call us today at 281-356-9955 and let us go to work for you. Patricia Cooper Insurance, where our customers are treated like family.
This is Rick Schisler, your Silver Fox advisor, welcoming you back to the third segment of the Weekly Business Hour. We're in the midst of a business forum talking about what the economy looks like in 2016 and the impact on my local business. Along those lines, we have Dick Hendee and Jerry Pollio here in the studio as experts to talk about those topics. And let's move on and let's talk about the banking. Dick, you've got 40-plus years of banking experience. How are the banks going to react to this? And as a small business, am I going to have access to them?
Well, that's a good question, and I think most everybody has read the Fed has been trying to raise interest rates, and what that means is that right now banks, if they need capital to loan out, they can borrow that from the Fed, and the interday rate that the Fed charges banks for that is right around 25 basis points or a quarter of a basis point to a half a basis point, which is really cheap money. And one way the Fed can stimulate the economy is to lower that interest rate so that banks have a cheaper cost of money and then they can loan it out. Well, when you're already at a quarter or a half, you can't lower it a whole lot unless you get down to zero or even a minus number. And so the Fed has been wanting to increase that rate to half a point or by half a point or three-quarters of a point, but they haven't been able to do it just because of the slowness in the economy. And so at some point in time, they will raise that rate. The question is when. The banks right now, both big banks and small banks, have a lot of liquidity, so they have a lot of money to loan, but the other side of the regulatory equation, being federal governments and the Fed tied to the federal government too, is that bank regulators don't want to live through a repeat of 2008 and 2009, and certainly what we all experienced in the local market in the 80s. So what they've already started to do with banks is to kind of curb certain lending in real estate, raw land, for example, or development loans, or spec home building. And in dealing with some of my clients and dealing with banks, I can see that tightening up already. And so what they're all looking for is good, solid commercial and industrial business, so lines of credit, people purchasing something to expand their business in the way of equipment or facilities. So just keep that in mind, that if you're looking to expand, there's going to be probably some tightness in the credit markets for a while until regulators see a clear growth. And so keep that in mind and deal with good banks that you've known for a long time and people that you can go in and share your story with.
You know, Dick, you've been a guest on the show before, and we talked about this particular topic, and you gave a great checklist of the things you have to do about building a relationship. So it's not like you wake up one day, gosh, I got to have some money, you run down, and you're talking to somebody who doesn't even know who you are. But, Jerry, you know, in your business and working with franchises, particularly you and I have had some conversations, how difficult it can be to finance a new business.
Sure.
You care to comment about that?
Well, we know that one of the first things we have to do is when a candidate's looking for a franchise opportunity or a small business, is that they've got to be financed. They've got to have capital, right? And Dick's hit on some great points as far as, you know, I think it's very, very important to have a relationship with a banker. I think that helps, and I think if that banker is tied in maybe to the SBA, really depending on the volume of what you need in terms of your lending requirements. requirements, but absolutely, I think relationships are very, very important. It is very, very tight and very, very difficult to get funding. Absolutely.
And you found that to be true for the past several years.
Absolutely.
Even.
Absolutely.
And Dick, you think there will be money available if we're a new business moving into 2016?
I think there will be, but I think that SBA equation is going to be where a lot of it comes from. The government's fiscal year starts on October 1st, so they've got a new bucket of money to loan. And as a matter of fact, I've got a brand new business we just got approved last month. It's a new hotel, and the people have got some pretty good money to put into it, so you're not going to get a bank to loan you money if you don't have anything to put into it. So there are opportunities out there, but I agree the SBA route is probably going to be a real good way to go in the future.
Well, and you know, when you appeared on the show earlier this year, we also talked about the alternatives of online lending and Kickstarter and the pros and cons of those. So there is access to money, but it comes at a huge cost for those businesses. But banks, my interpretation is that banks have still hesitant, and when I mean new business, one that's been in business a couple of years, not somebody just starting from scratch, but it's been difficult to get money in the small business environment, and the national statistics support that. And I think personally in 2016, it might become even more difficult in areas like Houston. If our economy slows down enough, then the feds really have their thumb on the banks today, don't they, Dick?
Oh yeah, more so than ever, and you know the electronic age has helped that. You know, years ago, the only way banks regulators could check a bank is actually come in and look at the documents that the bank produced. But now banks report all of that information electronically to the Fed, and they have models that they've developed, and they can spot trends pretty quickly if they see a bank overextending in one particular area that they feel there's going to be problems in. You know, they'll pay you a visit. They won't just email you and say stop loaning in that area. They'll pay you a visit and ask you to you know, defend what you're doing and why you're doing it. So you don't have to get beat up by regulators more than once before you wise up and try to cut those conversations off before they even happen.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I'd like to move into another big question, I think, and we've kind of touched on it here and there throughout the conversation today, but what special challenges, if any, if I'm a small business owner in the greater Houston area, do I need to take into consideration as I prepare my business plan for next year? Things such as labor market, customer spending, product cost, occupancy cost, anything like that. And, you know, Jerry, you work in a business currently where you help businesses reduce cost, and in your case, without actually spending money. Why don't you address that first for us?
Well, I think going forward, Rick, I think we start from a pretty solid business plan in terms of what you do in the marketplace, what you bring to the marketplace. I think you have to understand and define that, what makes you different. And I think, you know, the other challenges is just, you know, driving to thrive your business, right? All of the basics that you have to connect all the dots to make it work. And that's, you know, that's having the right financing and the right marketing and you know, the product line and all of the things you have to do to build a business. I think in Houston, we're an international city, and this city is growing, as we all know. It just continues to grow. And I think there's a lot of opportunity when you have all of the right things in place.
Well, you know, one of the things, and I want people to be aware of this formula because it exists, and this is not an advertisement, but, you know, Jerry, you work with Schooley Mitchell. I've been through your program. The opportunity in two areas, in your case, communications cost, telecommunication cost, and then the credit card processing cost.
Sure.
And your ability through Schooley Mitchell, they have a unique way of analyzing through logarithms, computer software, of whether I'm getting the best price in my business and giving me alternatives, not trying to sell me anything, just coming in and doing an audit, much like a CPA would do on my numbers.
Yeah, it's empirical data, right? So data drives a lot of our business decisions today, and it's a matter of applying what the data is telling us and then, you know, basically looking at it, how it applies to your business.
Well, and I would encourage any listeners that if you're in a small business, a lot of times the large guys are doing this anyway. They have people analyzing their cost, such as their telecommunications, long-distance cost, and they're analyzing their processing costs, in this case credit cards. but you have access, subject to certain minimums, to people like Schooley Mitchell to do this for you, and there's no cost in the program they offer. And I've seen these programs for sales tax and other taxes and whatnot, and see people find money. They're just sending money out that they don't need to be. It doesn't change their operation, but it allows them to have more money to work with or carry to the bottom line. So I think that's very interesting and something people need to look for, those kind of opportunities as the market in general begins to tighten. Look for ways to save some money.
Optimize.
Particularly, you've just got to optimize your cost model all the way out. There's just no doubt about it. Dick, do you have any comments about other things that we should be looking at to do as we put our business plan together here for next year?
Well, I think, whether you're in a growth market or in a slow market, I think there's things that you can learn. So one of the things we talked about, networking with people, I would also keep my eye on business articles, be it online or in the Houston Business Journal or other periodicals that are printed, either about the local economy or the Texas economy. You can always learn from other people's either mistakes or what they've done to be successful. So now's a good time, I think, to build that file of articles that can probably help you in the future and grasp about those things that are effective or important to your business.
You know, it's funny you should say that. I was in a business conference the other day, and they had some statistical data about how many people, when they start a business or they leave college in this case, or education, and how little they do to continue their education through reading and staying up on what's going on out there. It's a very small number of people that really do that. And it's such an easy thing to do, to subscribe to magazines, look for articles, a lot of information online. You can obviously drown in it if you want, but you've got to stay connected in your business. You can't just stay on the shop floor, stay behind the counter. You've got to stay connected. And that's a great thing to really focus on in 2016. Absolutely. Well, Jerry, I'm going to give you the final comment in this segment. Anything you would like to offer beyond what we've talked about?
I would just like to say thank you to all of the entrepreneurs. I think we're in a great place. I think Houston has a lot of opportunity going forward 2016 and beyond. And it takes a lot of energy and a lot of drive and determination to build your business. And just know that with hard work it happens, and that's what I'd like to leave you with.
Well, I appreciate that. Now we're going to take a short break here, and we'll come back. We have one final question we're going to talk about. Would I encourage someone to open their first business in 2016? Meanwhile, remember, this show is archived, so if you've missed part of it, it'll be available later in the week. Just go to the website, irlonestar.com, and look up the Weekly Business Hour, and we'll be right back with you.
Doing business since 1985, Assistance League of Montgomery County is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization where all proceeds stay in Montgomery County. We are proud to sponsor 10 philanthropic programs that enhance the lives of those in our community. Visit our thrift shop at 126 North San Jacinto Street in downtown Conroe, or call us at 936-760-1151. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Are you planning on growing, expanding, or possibly selling your business? All of these business opportunities require developing strategies and setting goals in order to achieve success. Providing specialized consulting in these and other key business decisions is what Silver Fox Advisors have been doing since 1986. Let us help you today. Call us at 713-343-3718. It might be the most profitable call that you ever make.
Running a business is hard. Pressure to maximize profits and minimize loss continue to grow. Schooley Mitchell of Houston can help. Their independent consultants will ensure you are receiving the best communications and credit card processing services at the best prices. Most importantly, their services are completely risk-free. If they don't find savings for you, there is no fee. Contact Schooley Mitchell of Houston today to find out. Call 832-314-1815 or visit their website at schooleymitchell.com/JM Pollio.
Tailorized PR works exclusively to get your business noticed. Public relations is how others perceive you and your company. By tailorizing the marketing strategy exclusively to your business, your story is told. Tailorized PR services include networking, social media, blogs, press releases, public appearances, and event planning. To learn about Tailorized PR, call Margie Taylor at 936-828-6881 or visit the website at tailorizedpr.com. My business is tailored to yours.
Are you paying too much for your personal or business insurance? Patricia Cooper Insurance on FM 1488 and Tamina Road is an independent agency that can shop multiple carriers to find the best rates and coverages to fit your specific needs. Call us today at 281-356-9955 and let us go to work for you. Patricia Cooper Insurance, where our customers are treated like family.
You are listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and this is Rick Schisler, your Silver Fox advisor. And we're in the final segment of this show. We've had, I think, a great conversation today about how to prepare for 2016, directed at our small and mid-sized business owners throughout the greater Houston area. I appreciate Jerry Pollio and Dick Hendee joining us. And we have a number of listeners out there that are people thinking about starting a business. They're trying to learn from those who participate in this show on a week-to-week basis. So I say for a final question for this segment, would I encourage someone to open their first business in 2016? Why or why not? Dick, you want to take the first shot at that?
Yeah, and I think I would encourage somebody, if they were thinking about even leaving their existing company or starting out on a new venture, I think 2016 would be a great year to do all the things that you need to do so that you can do a successful launch in 2017. And let me explain that. I had a client one time that was going to open up a restaurant back in the 80s, and when Houston was going through that bust period. And people looked at him and said, why are you doing that? Well, what he found was that there were great opportunities to buy restaurant equipment, tables, and even got a facility at a really good low rate for a 5 or 10 year lease. I can't remember what she took, but if you're thinking about it at all, when you've got a market that may be a little bit slow than it has been in the past, it's a good opportunity to go out there and do your research while you can, and take that as an opportunity for a really successful launch in 2017.
I think that's an interesting thing. In other words, get ready and then go when you think the opportunity is there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Jerry?
My ideas, Rick, are you always want to start with, your why. Who's your business? Who's your customer? Who's your target market? How are you going to build that business? And understand that it's a learning curve, right? It's never a done deal. It's like your website or anything else. It's something that's always a work in progress. So if you're thinking about launching it, whether you're in a position financially to do that, you always want to think about your why first and then build around that. The online community and the digital era has taken things and made it a lot easier for everyone, and you can learn to leverage those resources. And I think 2016 here in the Houston community is a great opportunity for small businesses.
Well, and I'm going to take, ladies and gentlemen, I agree with what both these gentlemen have said. Absolutely. It's not a time to shy away, but one proviso I would have, and this is where it comes up in the clients I work with, and it breaks my heart quite literally every time, is make sure you have enough capital. Make sure your business is financed. And I think that's going to be more important in 2016 as we go into a slower general area economy, that you have the capital that you probably should have had even in a great economy. Make sure you have the money so you can hire the right people. You can find that right location. I think Dick's right on it. You're going to have opportunity to pick up equipment, locations at some discounts so you can shop hard. And I agree with Jerry as well, but let's make sure we have the financing in place so that we can weather the storm and that we can actually have an opportunity to build our business. In other words, don't go off half-cocked. Any other comments you guys got about business in general? Jerry, first, what final comment do you have for our audience today?
I'm hardwired entrepreneur, Rick, so I'm always pro-business. And I just think if you got an idea, you find out your why, you're financed, and I think you should actually just, basically put your foot down and get started.
Dick, how about you?
Well, I think if I'm going to start a business, and I've started a couple, Houston is a great opportunity for that. I don't see Houston dying on the vine by any stretch of the imagination. I see lots of opportunities here. We've got a great medical center. We've got a great port. We've got energy capital of the world. There's just tons and tons of opportunity here. So I think there's room for growth, and there's room for new businesses and room for expansion. So bring it all on.
Yeah, good.
Well, and I'll add my final comment, which is a little more historical. My father at one point in my life when I was young, I had considered moving for a lot of different reasons. Was getting married and thought about it. And I asked his advice, and he says, if you've made the money you want, fine, but if you really want to make a place in the market, in the business world, Houston is probably the best city in the world, or at least in the United States, to do that. You make your fortune, then you can afford to move anywhere you want and enjoy it. And I think he was dead on. That was the reason I think that his father-in-law, my grandfather, showed up in here in 1947 by chance and identified fairly quickly that he felt Houston was going to be a great place to build and own a business. And so that's how our family got here. So we are in one of the greatest markets in the world, I believe, and one of the greatest businesses. And the final comment from my dad was that, Houston will eventually have to weather the storms like the rest of the country, the recessions and whatnot. But historically, it's the last to go in and the first to come out. Yep. So a lot of optimism out there. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you joining us today, both of you. Jerry, thank you, and Dick, thank you for taking the time to be part of our forum. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you, gentlemen, both of you. Thank you very much. Well, we're going to move on to the final segment, part of this segment. I've got to keep up with my Silver Fox Advisor comment of the week, a little brief comment here, and that is in marketing our businesses. And a comment that was made by a well-known author and speaker, Simon Sinek, when he taught us to start with why. According to Sinek, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. At its core, every organization should have a true purpose that drives its decisions and aspirations. The most successful companies are those who attract customers, employees, and even vendors by establishing a deeper bond through a shared sense of purpose. I'll leave you with that comment, and check your own business and make sure everybody knows why you're in business. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us today. I encourage you to visit the website at irlonestar.com to stay up with everything that's happening here in Montgomery County, and also to access the podcast of previous business shows, listen to them at your leisure. A lot of good information, hopefully education, news you can use today. And as we close today's show, I want to give a big Lone Star thanks to our sponsors: Patricia Cooper Insurance Company, Schoolie Mitchell with Jerry Pollio, Taylorized PR with Margie Taylor, and the Silver Fox Advisors. Also to Dick Hendee and Jerry Pollio for sharing their experience and expertise with us today. Stay engaged this week and keep your focus on what counts for your business. Next week, our special guest will be Paul Marcus of Affordable Searches. Thank you for joining us, and until next week, remember to stay in touch with what's happening in Montgomery County right here on Lone Star Internet Radio. Thank you for listening to this week's edition of the Weekly Business Hour, brought to you by the Silver Fox Advisors, the #1 mentoring and business advising group in the greater Houston area. If you have a question or a comment, please contact me on my Facebook page or by email, rick@irlonestar.com.